Listen, 99% of American shooters are still married to their traditional turn-bolt rifles because they think a straight pull is just some weird European novelty. They think it is only for guys in tweed coats shooting driven boar across the pond. But that blind loyalty to a clunky four-step bolt cycle is costing you valuable time when the pressure is on and multiple targets are moving downrange. Just look, if you think your grandpa's old action is fast enough for modern predator control or high-volume hunting, you have never seen what these new platforms can do. SHOT Show 2026 just dropped a massive reality check on the entire firearms industry. The straight pull renaissance has officially hit American soil, and it is bringing match-grade precision with semi-automatic speed. Here is the deal. We are breaking down the top 7 straight pull hunting rifles of the year that prove this mechanical evolution is absolutely going to dominate the market. Starting off our list at number 7 is the Browning Maral 4X. Now this thing is a straight pull that practically thinks it is a semi-automatic. It borrows heavily from Browning's legendary BAR architecture, but strips out the gas piston for manual control. This makes it an absolute speed demon in the deep woods when you're tracking fast-moving targets. Looking under the hood, the magic here is the spring-assisted return system. Unlike standard straight pulls where you have to manually shove the bolt forward to strip a new round, the Maral 4X does half the work for you. You rip the bolt handle back to eject the spent brass, let go, and a heavy internal return spring violently slams the 7-lug rotary bolt forward. It strips the cartridge and locks into battery faster than your brain can process the movement. Stepping up to the firing line, the first thing you notice is that the bolt body stays completely hidden inside an enclosed light alloy receiver during the cycle. Because that metal never rockets back toward your face, you do not have to break your cheek weld or deal with sympathetic flinching. The recoil impulse on the new 7mm Remington Magnum chambering pushes back like a heavy sledgehammer rather than a sharp sting, making those rapid follow-up shots incredibly smooth. Honestly though, that enclosed receiver design is a double-edged sword. While it keeps pine needles and dirt out of the action, clearing a stubborn double feed or a stuck casing in the field is going to be a massive headache because you cannot easily get your bare hands into the chamber. It also runs a bit steep, with a base price starting around $2,000 and climbing way past $5,000, depending on how much premium Turkish walnut you want to bolt onto the chassis. Stepping up the game at number 6, we have the Chapuis Rolls Carbon. This French-built rig is an absolute ghost in the woods, tipping the scales at a staggering 5 pounds 3 ounces. It feeds on everything from 6.5 Creedmoor up to 300 Winchester Magnum without breaking a sweat. It is purpose-built for those grueling alpine ascents where every single ounce starts feeling like a brick in your pack. Under the hood, this is not your typical rotating lug system. It uses a proprietary 8-metal pedal array that completely encircles the inside of the barrel extension. When you push the bolt forward into battery, a central internal mandrel drives forward and forces those machined precision pedals outward, locking them into a full 360-degree groove. That specific mechanism matters because it distributes the massive chamber pressure evenly across a huge surface area, giving you extreme safety margins and a manual cycling glide that feels like wet ice on steel. Pulling the trigger on this rig snaps exactly like a frozen icicle breaking in half. The custom carbon fiber stock from Fine Ballistic Tools gives you incredible torsional rigidity, soaking up the kick so it just delivers a firm, polite shove to your shoulder. You also get a manual cocking slider right on the top tang. meaning the firing pin spring is completely dead and safe until you physically push it forward with your thumb. But let's be real, the damage to your wallet is absolutely brutal. This masterpiece sets you back over $9,000. Unless you have incredibly deep pockets and a serious obsession with bespoke European engineering, that massive entry cost is going to be a hard pill to swallow for the average American hunter looking for a truck gun. Now we get serious at number 5 with the Bushmaster BA30. This tactical hybrid is basically a massive middle finger to restrictive gun laws, giving you an AR-10 silhouette that is actually a manually operated straight pull. It slings 450 Bushmaster downrange, but you can easily swap the barrel and bolt head to feed on 308 Winchester or 6.5 Creedmoor. Digging into the guts of this rig, the engineering relies on a spring-assisted loading mechanism. You rip the sleek side-mounted bolt handle all the way back to eject the spent casing, and then you just let it go. The internal spring pressure automatically slams the XM10 bolt carrier group forward, violently stripping a fresh round from the SR25 pattern magazine and locking the rotating bolt lugs securely into the barrel extension. This semi-automatic style return stroke completely eliminates the risk of short stroking the bolt under adrenaline-induced stress, ensuring reliable lockup every single time you need to neutralize a target. The trigger on this platform features the Bushmaster DM2S2 stage unit that breaks like a high-tension wire right at 3 pounds. Because you are pushing all that mass, the recoil on the big bore variant shoves back like a stubborn linebacker, but the proprietary Snake Charmer muzzle brake keeps the muzzle completely flat. Look, here is the problem. You add over 7 pounds unloaded before you even add a heavy variable optic and a loaded mag. This thing feels like hauling a cinder block through the woods. It is fantastic for stationary precision rifle series matches or sitting in a blind, but it is going to absolutely drain you on a long mountain stalk. Street price is hovering right around $1,600 to $1,800, which gives you incredible modularity for the money since it takes standard AR-15 pistol grips and drop-in trigger groups. This aluminum powerhouse is definitely a solid contender for anyone needing a compliant, high-volume field rifle. But listen, this is solid, but wait until you see the monster we have waiting for you at number 1. Escalating the stakes at number 4, we are looking at the Jakele J1. This Bavarian masterpiece is engineered for guys who drag themselves up vertical alpine ascents. Tipping the scales right at 5.5 pounds, it is an absolute featherweight that practically floats on your sling. It slings everything from .222 Remington up to heavy-hitting .300 Winchester Magnum downrange. The core innovation here is what they call the Jakele Relax system. Instead of a standard thumb safety, it uses a manual cocking lever mounted directly underneath the trigger guard. As you establish your firing grip, your middle finger pulls that lever rearward, which physically compresses the mainspring and cocks the striker. If you release your grip even a fraction of an inch, the lever slides forward and instantly decocks the weapon. This completely removes the cognitive burden of remembering a safety switch under stress, and it gives you a rapid second strike capability on a hard primer without having to cycle the bolt. Cycling this rig feels like sliding glass over oiled silk. It runs a highly robust 4-lug bolt lock that rotates 90 degrees inside the action, containing the massive pressure when you send heavy rounds toward your target. The brake on the trigger is as crisp as stepping on thin winter ice. While the kick from that lightweight carbon fiber chassis bites like a cornered snake if you do not pull it tight into your shoulder pocket. But let's be totally honest about the realities of this system. Upgrading to that FBT carbon stock alone will set you back almost $1,800 on top of a premium base rifle. Add in the fact that it only packs a 2-round flush-fitting magazine, and this rig becomes practically useless if you walk into a target-rich environment. Plus, that trigger guard cocking lever requires a massive retraining of your muscle memory. Sound off below in the comments if you would actually trust your hunt to a grip safety mechanism like this, or if you prefer a traditional tang switch. Entering the elite tier at number 3, we have the Beretta BRX1 Ranch. This Italian powerhouse is a compact utilitarian evolution designed explicitly for American pest control and ranch management. Tipping the scales right at 6.3 pounds unloaded, it features a short 16-inch cold hammer forged barrel that makes navigating thick brush or pulling it out of a truck an absolute breeze. It eats .308 Winchester for breakfast and packs a 10-round detachable polymer magazine to keep you running heavy when you need to neutralize a sounder of feral hogs. Diving under the hood, this rig completely abandons the complex Jakele systems of its expensive European cousins. It runs a highly robust 8-lug rotating bolt head derived straight from military assault rifle engineering. As the linear bolt assembly is pushed forward, an internal camming pin forces that bolt head to rotate, locking the steel lugs directly into the barrel extension. This specific rotating lug architecture matters because it is universally proven to chew through extreme debris, environmental fouling, and high-pressure spikes without locking up, ensuring the rifle will function in the harshest conditions imaginable. Sending brass downrange is a wildly violent but controlled experience. The adjustable single-stage trigger breaks cleanly, ain't snapping like a brittle pine cone under a heavy work boot. Because it is pushing a heavy round out of a short pipe, the recoil barks loud and punches like a bare knuckle boxer. But that lightning-fast linear loading system lets your fire in hand get right back to the trigger in a fraction of a second. And the fully ambidextrous bolt means you can run it off-hand from behind cover without buying any extra parts. Look, I have to give you the raw truth on the build quality. The flat dark earth polymer stock features this molded spider web texture that provides fantastic traction when running wet, but it honestly feels a bit hollow, like cheap plastic Tupperware compared to the dense chassis systems out there. The aesthetics definitely take a back seat to pure function. You can expect to hand over roughly $1,569 at the gun counter, making it a rugged, high-capacity workhorse for serious tactical applications. Closer to the crown at number 2, we are looking at the Savage Impulse Core Hunter Pro. This is the American mainstream powerhouse that finally proves straight pull technology can be adapted for the everyday stand hunter and open plains stalker. It feeds on modern high ballistic coefficient cartridges, slinging everything from 6.5 Creedmoor all the way up to the massive 300 PRC. Looking at the mechanics, as this rig completely ditches the European Jakele systems in favor of their proprietary hex lock mechanism. It utilizes a series of hardened steel ball bearings seated directly inside the bolt head. As you shove the bolt forward into battery, an internal plunger forces those bearings outward into a machined recess inside the barrel extension. When you touch off a round, the immense rearward pressure actually forces those ball bearings tighter into their locking recesses, creating a vault-like lockup that geometrically increases in strength as chamber pressure spikes. Rugged and heavily upgraded for 2026, the AccuFit V2 synthetic stock gives you total command over your biomechanics. You can adjust the comb height and length of pull in seconds using their new tool-less quick-set dial system without ever taking your eyes off the target. Pulling the user-adjustable AccuTrigger, set right at a crisp 1.5 pounds, breaks clean like a thin glass rod shattering in a heavy vise. Because you have that exclusive limb saver pad paired with the factory Omniport muzzle brake, the recoil impulse is heavily mitigated into a dull roll-in push against your shoulder. But listen, I have to warn you about the action. Out of the box, that bolt cycle can feel incredibly stiff and mushy compared to the slick European actions we just talked about. You are going to have to run it wet and really muscle the bolt handle for the first few hundred rounds before the metal finally smooths out. Expect to drop between $1,599 to $1,649. With that fully ambidextrous bolt handle and the integrated 20 MOA Picatinny rail, this platform is an absolute tack driver for the American hunter. The undisputed king of the mountain for 2026 is the Blaser R8 Professional 2.0. Listen, this German masterpiece gives you the rugged reliability and modularity of the Savage Impulse at number 2, but it does it with a vault-like precision that absolutely puts the Chapuis rolls at number 6 to shame. It slings everything from the diminutive 222 Remington all the way up to heavy-hitting, dangerous game cartridges like the 375 H&H Magnum. When you are tracking massive game across international borders, this heirloom-quality platform is the only rig you need. Under the hood, Blaser relies on their proprietary radial locking system. Instead of rotating lugs, it expands a concentric 360-degree collet directly into a machined groove inside the barrel extension. Why does that matter? Because it completely eliminates all rotary motion from the bolt cycle, just giving you an action capable of handling extreme magnum pressure spikes while maintaining an incredibly short receiver footprint. You get the ballistics of a long barrel without hauling around a massive pole. Plus, the barrel and action components are coated in diamond-like carbon A+, giving you a coefficient of friction so insanely low that cycling the action feels like gliding two wet magnets across polished glass. Stepping behind the rifle, the completely redesigned ergonomic vertical pistol grip features an aggressive ambidextrous palm swell with tacky elastomer inserts. That geometry forces your shooting hand to relax, completely neutralizing sympathetic trigger flinch. If you drop in the optional ATZL match hunting trigger, the break is as delicate as a dried autumn leaf crushing under a heavy boot, dialed all the way down to a microscopic 8.8 ounces. When you touch off a heavy, dangerous game round, the recoil slams back like a runaway freight train, but the biomechanical alignment of the chassis manages the terminal performance perfectly. Looking at the optics, the proprietary Blaser saddle mount clamps directly to the cold hammer-forged barrel instead of the receiver. That means you can pull your scope off in the backcountry and throw it back on with absolute zero shift in your point of impact. The modular stock even gives you up to 30 millimeters of push-button vertical travel for running large thermal clip-ons, setting you back a cool 5,500 right out of the gate. It requires a massive financial commitment. But when absolute perfection and stopping power are required to neutralize your target, the Blaser takes the throne without question. Look, the firearms industry is shifting right before our eyes. The old ways of running a turnbolt are completely fine if you are just sitting in a deer blind drinking coffee all morning. But when the pressure is on and you need to send multiple rounds downrange fast, the straight pull action is the undeniable future of the American market. Whether you drop serious cash on elite European engineering or run an American hybrid hard in the brush, these platforms are officially bridging the gap between manual precision and semi-automatic speed.